Well, and later on, Daddy, we would take Sunday afternoon drives and go all over the country. Well, she did even when he took them when they were little into Arkansas, and usually she'd get car sick. But he enjoyed, that was one thing he really enjoyed, was to go on Sunday afternoon drives.
Take all the back roads and
Yeah.
tell us, when you really get down, of course, there's lots of back roads that were, practically impassable then. And
We
when
go to
we
the
really-
old mills. I think
Yeah.
Jerry said you saw several old mills.
When we get to a place to where we didn't see anybody or anything, he'd say, oh, my lands, we're lost. Kids, we're lost. And we'll never find our way out of here. And we thought, sure enough, we was lost.
You were lost.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
After you got maybe 20 miles from Fairgrove, you didn't really know what was going on.
We didn't even get that far. I hadn't visited Stratford over twice when I got married. And that's just 10 miles.
Well, you didn't have to go outside your territory, and I think Jerry said when the basketball games went on, there was some rivals, and like some other team would come in here, and they would, if the boys would come along, the Fairgrove boys would defend the girls in Fairgrove, and there was fights, and it was just kind of protecting your territory, I guess it was. I don't think that goes on anymore. I haven't heard about it, but there were rival teams.
I think some of it does still go on.
That's Stratford and Fairgrove, even when I was in school, were rivals. And they did not, you just did not see eye to eye with Stratford. And when she started dating Bob, I thought, oh man.
And he was from Stratford.
He's a Stratford boy. Woo. And Terry and I looked for land in Stratford. And I said, I am not living in Stratford. I am not sending my children to Stratford.
This is foreign territory.
I mean, those thoughts followed through. Yeah, it was quite a rivalry.
Were you in the band, either one of you, or any?
Carolyn was. Weren't you in the band? Well, Joe Wayne was, and Jerry was. Jerry was in the band
I was
the whole time.
in the girls' chorus. I never played an instrument in the band.
No, I didn't either.
So you got married in what year?
1956.
56. And how long was it before you and Bob started into the dairy business after that?
I thought you was going to ask me how long it was before we started a family.
Oh, I'll leave that alone.
That was 9 months and 17 days.
And you had how many kids then?
In our married
Yeah.
time, we had 4 sons.
Mm-hmm.
We have 4 sons.
And you raised them on a dairy
We
farm.
raised them on a dairy farm, and we taught them how to work. And they've everyone been good workers, good citizens. And
What's the difference between dairying now and what it was when you were a kid?
Oh my.
it's 100% different.
What are all the changes? Can you remember everything that
Well,
changed?
It went from hand milking to milking with a machine, and still putting it into cans and into a milk cooler, and it, from that on to a pipeline milker, and it's still a pipeline milker, and computerized feeders.
Explain those.
Each cow has a collar around her neck, and she goes into this individual stall to eat, and you program in how many pounds of milk you want her to have, of feed you want her to have, and according to how much milk she gives. And that computer lets her have that allotted amount of feed, and it saves on how much grain they eat. And
It's an efficient way of milking.
a big difference milking then and milking now are in the, not especially the way it's done, but in the expense of it. It was that back when we first started, we was paying around $3 for 100 pounds of grain, and today it's anywhere from $21 to $23 for 100 pounds of grain.
Well, our barn down home was grade C, and we sold grade C milk. And Ray and Fred built the grade A barn, then, they encouraged Daddy to build a grade A barn, but he never did. He stayed with grade C, which didn't pay hardly anything.
We couldn't understand why he didn't build grade A, because the MFA took the difference between grade C price milk and grade A price milk until the facility was paid for.
Oh.
It wouldn't have cost anything.
Oh, yeah. Kind of subsidized. Was that about the time your dad started doing some plumbing and electric work in Fairgrove? So maybe he made more money at that and decided. Explain a little bit about that. Did you help him do any of that kind of work?
No, I didn't.
Did he have one of the boys help him do that?
Jimmy mainly
Okay.
helped him do stuff.
And then Jimmy has gone on into the excavation work.
We learned from that.
Yeah.
Partly because he taught us how, and partly because he said, do it. I know when I had my old 41 Chevy that I bought when I was 18.
Your first car.
My first car. Why, it was backfiring. And I'd go down this Fairgrove hill, it would just sound like it was exploding. So I stopped up at Troy Adams' garage and I asked Troy, I said, well, what is causing that? He said, well, you got to have a new carburetor. Well, I didn't have any money to buy anything with, so I went home. I told Daddy what he said it was doing. I said, can you look at it and see if you can figure it out? The only thing he'd say is, figure it out yourself. So I looked and I looked and I looked. I studied that car top to bottom. And finally I found out that the tailpipe was loose from the manifold. And that was letting air into it and letting it backfire. All I had to do was put a little 25-cent.
And those are the kind of things that give a young person confidence. You can build on that. And then maybe the next thing was a little more difficult, but you had some past experience on how to do it.
And even though sometimes we thought that was aggravating because he wouldn't help us, because he made us go ahead and learn this stuff on our own, we gained quite a knowledge.
Well, and our mother, it didn't matter what there was to do. She figured it out. She could do anything there was to do.
On her part of the work.
Well, Jerry came home one time when he was working at Clemmer's, and the lady that made custom-made grapes, pleated grapes, quit. And they needed somebody and said, oh, my mother could do it. Well, she'd never made pleated grapes in her life.
But she could sew.
And so he brought her home a sample, and she turned it every which way and learned how to do it. And we made custom drapes. Jerry and I would hang them, and Mom and I would make them. And she did just as good as anybody. But I don't know of anything that she ever tried. She could do anything there was.
She was extremely artistic.
And talented.
Our dad was talented. He could fix anything and all kinds
And grow anything.
of electrical things and plumbing things and he could work on motors. He never did like to, but he could. And but he was not artistic in any way.
Yeah.
He could smear paint on and just destroy.
Just get it covered. Let's go into Marilyn. How long have, I know you're a writer and you have had a column in the Buffalo paper for quite a time now.
26 years.
26 years, and that's a long time to write every week. And I know a lot of...
I've never missed a week.
Never missed a week in 26 years. I know a lot of these experiences you're talking about here have worked their way into your column.
Now, Mom told me one time, says, people are going to know everything about me, everything about our family, because you tell it. She didn't mind.
But yeah, it was always good stuff.
Yeah, she
Or
didn't
funny stuff.